Okay, about truncate statement. This statement deals with the deletion of the record, just like delete statement that we saw. Um, so what truncate does is like deals with directly deleting all the records. It doesn't have an option generally to delete row by row. Delete is a row by row operation. Truncate is like entire table deletion in one shot. Another thing is truncate doesn't use the transaction log file. So as I said earlier, um, that for delete data gets recorded on transaction log file as instruction, and it data gets written or modified from the database, from basically data files, once it reads all the instruction from transaction log. So that's the way deletion works. Whereas transaction log doesn't deal with truncate statement. If you write a truncate statement, it will just uh, directly perform the operation. Um, so if you ask like why the truncate is used, generally I have pointed out a couple of points here. So purpose of truncate statement, like if we want to clear out the table entire, it's a large table and we want to clear it out for any reason, um, so it's one of the best way. So it will not drop the entire table, but the structure will be there on all the data will be deleted. It's generally used for temporary usage. um, and another thing is like delete is like a very like detail oriented operation. It's lengthy operation. It takes time because it gets written in the transaction log, and one by one record gets updated on the data file. Whereas truncate statement, it's just deallocate the location that gets occupied by the data. So that's the reason it's instant operation. It doesn't take time at all. It's very fast, very quick. One key thing is like if you have foreign key on the table, it will error out that you have foreign key, which implies other. Um, I mean, dependent means like for example, department table. If you want to delete a truncate department table, it will not allow because employee table has department number as foreign key. So it will error out. So here we can see one truncate statement. If we do truncate, here the table will be deleted. You can see here on new EMP table, it has a lot of records, 14 records that we have. If we just truncate that, the data will be gone. So we are not seeing any data here. Now um, one concept is there, that is rollback. Like you perform a DML operation, data manipulation operation, and if it's within the transaction, it can roll back, or um, truncate table can be rolled back. Now this concept is there in Oracle. In SQL Server, you can roll back transaction if it's within begin and end transaction. Here you can see like begin and end transaction, um, and it will roll back. So in SQL Server, it's not the case that if you do truncate, you cannot roll back. You can roll back, uh, but Oracle works in a different way. So let's see the example. So newly created table is this one, um, new EMP, and then we have begin transaction, truncate table, table's name, and then rolling back. So we will see what really happens if it's within transaction, with rollback, without rollback. So if we just keep up to this, okay. Okay, it's the same way that you perform delete statement. It will work in the same manner. It's commented out, so this statement will not work. So I can just remove that for your benefit. So begin transaction, truncate table. We have records right now, and rollback. So see what happens. So begin transaction and rolling back transaction T1. So let's select the table. So we still have, because after the truncate statement we rolled back. Now if we commented that out, which implies that we will not execute that, so we will just have truncate, begin transaction, truncate table. So there is no record. Now I just executed rollback statement, and if I select it, it's coming back. So you can try that way. So truncate can roll back for SQL Server. Next topic we have synonym. So synonym is it's a very important point. You need to understand the concept of it. For example, you have a database, and that database has a lot of tables, but one table is really huge, and maintaining that, backing it up, or database maintenance is very hard if you have one table that is huge. Let's say 5 terabyte one table, or 3 terabyte. One table itself is 2 terabyte, 3 terabyte. So what you can do there, you can this is just for maintenance purpose, you can back it up separately. So you can create another database and then put that table only on that, so it will be easier to back up the database itself. But if you need to use that on other database as its own table, you can use synonym. So what I'm trying to say that let's say you have a DBA database, and that has a department table, and department table is obviously very small, limited department, but employee table is huge. So I mean, just for explaining the problem, so we can create another database if the employee table is huge, because you can understand, let's say, all the government employee information we have. So it will be a huge record. So let's say we put it into another database, employee table, and then we will just back up by itself. And for the database that we have and that has a department table, we can use employee table on that same database by using synonym. So it will be a part of that database as a table. As you can see here, we have a database called pubs, and pubs doesn't have department table. Okay, there is no department table. So now I'm creating a synonym on pubs, okay, as department for the department table. Okay, and then if we execute, let's see what comes here. Okay, now we will see what happens. So under pubs, if you go to synonym, you can see department table is there. Okay, so it's there as synonym. And how synonym works, it's like same like a table, as if, so we are running the statement use pubs. Okay, and then we execute that. So here it will be pubs database, and then you are selecting same like select star from DPT. Now as you can see, it's not a part of this database. Actually, this is pulling the same information from this database, the table, department table. Okay, so if you select that, same like this. I created another one as department 1. So department table 1 is there on under this DBA database. So now if we select department 1 under POPs database, so this will be treated as it's a table on POPs database. Now one more thing we didn't complete, that is a link server, like that will come later on. So just letting you know, the purpose is not only to use a table on a database from a different database on the same server, or we can use it from a different server. Like we have another instance or another SQL server. From there we can get a table as synonym on this server as a table, as its own table. So once we see link server, we will be able to understand that. So for now, it will be just to import or to treat or include a table from another table. So that will be the concept for synonym. Let's see the definition. A synonym is a database object that serves the following purpose: alternative name for another object, okay, referred to as base object. The base object can exist on local server, SQL server, or remote SQL server. Okay, so next thing is trigger. DML trigger, basically this is also called DML trigger. So trigger is an action that is performed or executed when a DML operation occurs on a table. DML means insert, update, delete operation. So if this event occurs on a table, certain action has to be performed. So let's see an example on that. So as you can see, alter trigger, trigger name, and then so it has to be create trigger. Normally I just change it, so I made it alter. So create trigger, trigger name on this table, the name of the table, and the DML operation that I said is here. For what? For insert, update, you can put it there. So I put it there just if delete event occurs. So if somebody deletes record from this table, then the issue will occur. The event will trigger. So what will be triggered? So and we have to define that. Insert into this table, same table with the values, and what we will do, we will select record and we'll insert into that. So this trigger is already created. We will see how it works. So if we perform a select statement on the same table, we will see how many records we have. So we have 5 records, and there is a 50 on the bottom. Now if we delete this record, what really happens? So we have triggered here that if we delete any record, which we are doing is like we are deleting 50 records, and for any deletion, what it will do, it will get the department number 40. So 40 plus 10, 50 it will take, and department name, whatever department name that 40 has and location has, will be inserted. Okay, so I'll perform the delete now. So 2 event occurred. One is like deleting from this table that is there. Another one is like inserting back due to trigger. The second line is due to trigger. So we will select the statement and we'll see what really happens. So we can see the record is back. So the insert operation automatically done due to trigger. So that is about trigger. Just another example I'd like to mention here. Um, I just changed that alter trigger, okay, and put another one, like if department number is 40, put there 50 physics and USA, enter that. So trigger will insert this record that we have mentioned if we perform any delete on here. Okay, now we will go back, and as you can see, I already did a test on that, so let's perform the delete operation. 2 row inserted, so this physics is there. We can change that now to physics 1 and USA 1. Okay, now you perform a delete operation again. So 50, this record will be deleted. Let's see what's there. So physics 1, USA 1. Automatically it was inserted. I just performed the delete, but this record was inserted through trigger automatically. Okay, so next topic we have is view. So view is basically it's not a physical table, it's a virtual table. It's just a select statement that's stored in SQL Server database, and then when it executes, we see the record from the table. That information gets pulled from physical table, but actually is the view is like you are running a query on view. So the main purpose there is security. Like you don't want like everyone to see all the attributes on a table. So you want like users to see certain attributes, certain columns, certain values, and to control that you can just restrict the view to someone or the users, so that they don't see the entire table. And we will see the example how it works. So let's see a couple of points on views. So view is just like table. It has row and column, and next point is like we can perform DML operations on that. You have two tables and you want to treat it as one table for the users. For a specific purpose, we use that. Let's say we have employee and department table. We can join them and make it a view for users, and they can just select information from that table. So that can be considered as a view. And whenever they update, it will be updated on both table, both employee and department table. So we can use that way as well. So that's the main purpose I am discussing here for view. And as I mentioned, last point has security. So we don't want like users to see certain data. So we will not allow the users to see the entire table. Whatever we will select on our view, the user will be able to see exactly the same thing. So this is the point that I just discussed. Query stored as an object. So view is basically a query. It's an object, database object. It's called database object, and it will just act like a table, but it's basically a SQL statement. So let's see the example. So we have a view that is create view, view name as. Now we are selecting it. So this is our view. So it's just like a table that we have, and if we just select that, from the table the information that comes for only department number 20. Now we cannot see all other information from employee table. Only we can see employee number and salary. So there are a lot of information on employee table, but we will just allow the user to see employee number and salary. And if they update normally, unless the constraint is there on the table, it will allow them to insert information on the table as well. Another view we just created, that is EMP view. So it will select certain attributes from a table for all the records, and if we select that, we will be able to select that information. Another view we just created, that is on both table, department and employee table, with a join, equi-join, or inner join you can say. So after the join, the view is created, and this is the name of the view, and we can query on that, and this is the information that they will get. We can see here, if you expand that under view, we should be able to see all the views, and this is the query that we wrote there, inner join statement, and then this is primary key, foreign key relationship, that is there on the design. Whatever column we are selecting, all these are there, that belong to this view. So when you expand the database, the tables are there, we can see all the tables here, all the views are there, and then view has, as we know that we created trigger, so trigger we should be able to see it under this, under the table you will see the trigger. If we created any trigger, we should be able to see that. We don't have any, I think this is the table that we created for trigger. So if there is a trigger, we should be able to see it under this. I think we dropped it. So that's all for view. So there are a couple of syntaxes here. If we want to modify the view, we can write this way: create or replace view. Read only means they should be only able to just view it, but they cannot modify anything on the table. Now this coding is for Oracle. I don't want to make a confusion there, but same thing can be done with the security. Once we will learn the database security, we should be able to learn like how to restrict a view. So we can let the user to query, but they should not be able to update anything on the table. So we can make that. We will learn that on security chapter. Okay, now we will be discussing about error handling. So the purpose of error handling is like whenever you have application, if you have error on your code, you want to give your users proper error message so that the person can understand the error well. Okay, now the thing is, as you can see here, we have a store procedure. When you try to execute this code, make sure you consider from here to here entire thing as one code unit. Okay, since space is not there, I put it into another one. So what I will do, I'll just change that to create procedure. You have to create the store procedure first, and then you can execute that. So let's move a couple of lines from here to the left side. Okay, so this part is execution of the store procedure. This is not the part of entire thing. So first you are creating the store procedure which ends here. Okay, so let's go and see the example. So as I said, the error handling part, whenever we have issue, let's say we are trying to insert some record into database, let's say department table that has already department number 10 in place. So we have constraint that nobody can have department number 10 since it's a unique key, it's a primary key on the table. So if you try to insert primary key, there will be issues there on it's a violation of referential integrity. So we will try to see. So I already created the store procedure, so you highlight that and just execute. I have alter statement since it's already there, so you will change that to create statement that is there on the PowerPoint slide. And then as you can see here, what it's doing, it's taking an input, the store procedure, and then begin try catch. So try a catch portion, the way it works is like within try you will mention what exactly you want to do in your transaction, and if any error comes, it will catch that error, or any value you want to catch, and then you want to print there like any error that raises by the query. So as you can see here, my statement has update department, set department number is equal to 10, where the department number at and this variable, whatever there in store procedure. So if we are calling the store procedure by 20, so what it will try to do, it will wherever it's the department ID is 20, so here department number 20 on the department table, it will try to set it to 10, but 10 is already there, so it's a violation of primary key constraint. So the error will be raised here. Now this part is just for your statement that you will run. Within that you have to mention there whatever you want to do, and then catch. If any issue comes within try block, it will move to catch, and here we have a built-in value. So if any issue comes on try block, this value will be 1. So we are checking here if the value is more than 1, which says that we have some issues. Then what it will do, we will we'll roll it back. Okay, whatever we did, we will roll it back, and then we will raise the error. So how we will raise the error? So we are putting we are declaring variable and putting the system, this is a system generated function, so that will put the error number into this variable, and then error line, whatever error line is there, this is also system generated function. If any error comes, this, if you select this function, it will get a value, and we are assigning that, and then error message, we are putting it there. So everything system generated, error related, severity, error state, all this we are putting it there, and then we are printing one by one, like just to see like actual error number is, and then you have error number on this variable, we are putting it error number. This is just cast means like to make it varchar, so that it looks like a text. So we are casting it to text because it's a number, so we are concatenating text with a number which doesn't work, so you have to make the number as character to concat this two strings. And then raise number, finally you have raise number, you are putting there the parameter that is there, error number, and then severity, everything you can put it there to see what the errors are. So let's see how it works. So if I execute the store procedure, which will trigger an error, that it cannot insert the value. So we just execute it. So line number 1, so this 1 value comes for print this. So as I said, it's a built-in function, and if there is any error, it will become 1. So it became 1. And then if it's greater than 0, which is like 1 here, then roll back the transaction. We rolled back, so whatever we have done, that will be rolled back. It won't be executed. And then we are declaring all the errors into those variables, and then we are printing here the error number or whatever is there, or you can do it this way as well, whatever way you prefer. So that's all we have from error handling.